Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we should do more subcommittee hearings because I like this rather intimate opportunity. And I'm hoping for a couple of rounds like you. Because frankly, everything I was prepared to ask you all is secondary to everything that you've inspired in me. A few things. First of all, Ms. Hill, has your paper for Texas A&M, has that been published yet?
Not yet, still working on it.
Okay, so I read the interview and it looks fascinating and I appreciate your testimony a lot. One of the things I'd like to do right up front is, you know, the OCC has published its preliminary findings on debanking and it's a very short document. We're waiting for the full one, right, to be done. But if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit it for the record without objection. Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm looking forward to that. So where to begin? You know, I might just start where we ended up on the cannabis thing, particularly in light of what you had said about the Wild West. Our recent experience in the Senate of dealing with the appropriations bill that dealt with a simple hemp issue in one state was a good example of what happens if we don't take a thorough look at, you know, at the whole industry. Now that said, I'm with you on fair access. I mean, I think fair banking. I think we have to be careful. We just have to acknowledge the reality in our states, right? And so, and this, by the way, we're not supposed to do a lot, but interstate commerce is one of the things that the founders actually thought we should have something to say about. So, anyway, I'm just wanted to say that up front. But your point, Dean Hill, about the way I summarize it is, as bad as bad regulation is, bad regulators are worse, and as bad as bad regulators are, uncertainty is even harder. And the reality is that reputation comes from rumors and rumors of rumors as much as it does from bad regulation. I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that if we don't put some guardrails on the debanking side, we leave bad decisions or decisions up to a variety of views, political views and otherwise, both in the industry and with the regulators. Is that, am I on track here?
Yeah. In 2019, I did a study on just reputation risk. So I looked at the way the bank regulators use reputation risk, and almost always it's ancillary. So they find a bank that engaged in money laundering and they say, you shouldn't have engaged in money laundering because it's illegal and it causes reputation risk. Or they find a bank that opened unauthorized accounts and they say, you shouldn't open unauthorized accounts because it's illegal and it causes reputation risk. So in those instances, reputation risk isn't really doing anything. We might 100% agree that it exists, but regulators don't need that tool to stop that illegal behavior or that risky behavior. Reputation risk becomes troublesome when it acts all on its own. So when it's just reputation risk, when you can't point to a violation of the law or increased financial risk, that's when regulators can use it just to punish people for political reasons. And in that case, it's not doing anything to make the financial industry safer. It's just politicizing the regulators, and that's what's wrong.
I'm going to ask an opinion question here that wasn't in my notes either, but it occurred to me. There are a lot of people who think that, and I think you're maybe one of those, or at least alluding to the fact that regulators have given mixed signals based, you know, because of the lack of the guardrails. Some people would submit to you that the regulators are sort of a useful excuse for bankers to do what they want anyway. And I might ask maybe each of you if you think there's some truth to that, because we're seeing bankers who, on one hand, especially the large banks, have said we're never going to do that. And then there's a change in administration. They say we didn't really say that, and then of course they wait for later, and then they go with the political winds. I mean, do you think it's the banks as much as the regulators?
I mean, I think it's very hard to know, and that points to another problem, right? Which is the secrecy surrounding financial supervision makes it very easy for both the regulators and the banks to point at the other and cast blame, and we never really know who's telling the truth.
With so little time left, I'll yield and then go for a second round. All right, thank you.
Ms. Hill, I